Hey lovelies, welcome to my channel once again. So today we'll be learning how to make this traditional wedding cake. Pearldrops cakes. So before we begin, can you like this video and hit the subscribe button? This will enable me to make more of such videos for you. So as you can see, I had already trimmed this cake, and then I rolled out a circular fondant and I covered the top. So what I rolled out was in excess, so I'm trying to trim down the fondant so that it will look a little bit smaller, because I'm going to use paneling method. And then so this is what I'm doing right now. I rolled out a rectangular fondant. You have to measure the size of your cake, that is the circumference and then the height. Then you give a space of, let's say, 2 inches each. The circumference, that is the circular form, you give a space of 2 inches, and then the height, you also give space of 2 inches. It can be more. Okay, so then you now wrap it around the cake and then use your smoothers to press it on each other, like the rectangular fondant, you press it down on the circular fondant, which is the top, so that two of them will hold firmly together, so that none of them will be loose or whatever. Like, just hold them firmly. When you follow this process, it ensures a neat and smooth sharp edge. All right, so when you are done with the pinching, use a craft knife and then cut off the excesses, all the excesses, so that you get a clean and neat sharp edge. So this is what I'm doing right now, trying to cut off all the excesses, right? So that is what I'm doing. You make sure you lay your knife flat on the cake, otherwise you will cut it at an angle, which will not be nice. So make sure your knife is laid flat on the cake. Is very, very important. The way you keep your knife also determines how your sharp edge will be. So this is what I'm trying to do here, trying to make everything neat and smooth with my craft knife. So when I'm done with the cutting, with the trimming, then I use my smoother and smoothen the cake, and then I cut off the excess at the top. Please, it is important how you cut off that excess, so that your cake will come out very neat. Look at the way I'm doing it. You can do it this way, or you can also use a smoother at the back and then the knife at the front, and then trim off the excess. Okay, so when you are done, continue using the smoother all over the cake, so that everything will come out smooth and nice. So moving forward, we are done with the covering of the cake. So you have to flip it over, and this is the sharp edge that we got. So with this method, you are guaranteed to get a very neat sharp edge on your cake, right? So yeah, you can also still use your smoother and then run it over the cake to make sure everything is neat and fine. Then this is the wine gourd. The wine gourd, I had already covered it. Sorry, I covered it off camera. I did not remember at all. So I covered it off camera. By the time I remembered, I had already finished with the covering. So this is I'm trying to tuck in the fondant at the bottom. Okay, so I'm trying to now make the tip of the wine gourd, that is the mouth, or I don't know what you call it, but like the tip where the wine pours out from. That is what I'm trying to make. So you roll a large fondant into a sausage and then cut off the tip of the fondant like so. And then check the height. If it's too long, please, it's not nice. If it's too long, you reduce it. But if the length, you put it on top of the wine guard you are trying to make, and check the height if it is okay. If it's too long, please use your knife and reduce the height. But if it's okay, then you can go ahead with the next step, which is, making the mouth to be wide like a wine guard, truly. Okay, so this is what I'm trying to do, trying to make the mouth of the wine guard to be wide. Then when you're done, you place it on the cake and check if what you did is okay, and check the height too. If the height is too long, please, I repeat, reduce it, because it doesn't look nice if the height is too long. Okay, all right. So when everything is in check and everything is in place, apply water on the cake and then place it. Also use a skewer to hold it, to secure it in place. Like, pass a skewer through, yeah, this is what I'm doing. Pass a skewer through the fondant through to the cake, right? So this skewer will hold the fondant in place. It will make it not to fall off, even when you are transporting the cake to the venue or to the destination. It will hold it and make it to stay in place, right? So please do not skip this part of adding a skewer. Then I'm trying to blend the joining, like the place where both fondant joined together. So I'm trying to blend it to eliminate that line, that mark, that line that is showing on the cake. So when you do it this way, you eliminate that line, you blend it, you try and blend it, right? If you have a blending tool, you can use it. If you don't, you can use your fingers and blend it. Okay, so this is the board. I've covered the board in fondant, and I'm using embosser, the wooden effect embosser, to emboss on the board. So this is what you do for all the fondant on this board. Like, use this embosser all over the whole board. Okay, though is it consumes a little bit of time, but the after effect is always nice. It looks beautiful when you look at it, right? So this is what I'm trying to do, embossing the board. Make sure you press it hard, like press the embosser very hard on the board or on the fondant, so that the marks or the embossing will come out very well on the board. Okay, so this is what we'll continue doing for few minutes till we are done embossing the board, right? So we are done embossing this board right now, and we are going to paint it with brown fondant color. Okay, mix it with edible spirit or with vodka, and then you start painting. I did 2 shades of brown. One is darker than the other. Okay, so watch what I am doing, like so. So I used the darker shade on top of the fondant, right? I made dots. Should I say dots, or I just made marks on the fondant randomly. Then I will use the foam to loosen the dark or brown color that I've already done. I don't know, so just watch what I'm doing. I don't know, just watch what I'm doing. Like, if you do the same thing, you achieve the same results. Just mix your color with edible spirit or with vodka, then use a darker shade of brown to place on the fondant randomly, and then now use your foam and the lighter shade of brown, and then run it over the fondant, and you get your wooden effect, because it's wooden effect that we're trying to get here. And when you do it that way, you will get that effect. So right now it's time for doweling. Okay, so we are trying to dowel the cake. Remember, the one that will be on top of this cake is the wine guard, and the wine guard isn't large enough. Since the wine guard isn't that a large cake, we are going to do minimal doweling. Right, so as you can see, I'm using a plastic doweling rod. Okay, so I've inserted it in the cake. I checked the circumference of the cake before doweling. Right, so now we are going to repeat the same process that we did while doing the board. Right, so because this wooden effect will be by the side of the cake, so we are repeating the same process. Right, so use your darker shade of color and then put it randomly on the cake, and then use your foam and apply the lighter shade of brown color on the fondant, and you will get this effect. All right, so this is what I'm trying to do. Just make sure every part of the fondant is covered. All right, but first of all, I cut out this fondant and I left them to dry. You can leave it overnight, or you can, if depending on your weather, the weather of your location, you can leave it overnight, or you can leave it for some hours to dry out. Right, okay, so I'm trying to, I used royal icing here to join them together, to place them on the body of the cake. Okay, you need a stable glue to be able to put it on the body of the cake. Please don't use water at all, and don't use edible glue, because it will not hold. It will not hold. You need something like royal icing or mashed fondant. You know how to do a mashed fondant. If you don't know how to do a mashed fondant, you check my videos. I'll put a video on how to do mashed fondant. It's not difficult. Okay, right, so this is what we are trying to do. I use royal icing here to place them on the body of the cake so that it will be able to hold firmly. Right, so we are done with that aspect of the cake decorating. So right now I'm going to be putting beads on the body of the cake. How did we achieve this bead? Just roll your red fondant into sausages, little small sausages, and then cut them into tiny or sizes, or whatever size you want. Okay, so that is how we got these beads. Right, so I'm trying to place them on the cake. I'm using edible glue this time around to place them, because the bead is wet. If the beads are dry, then edible glue won't work. Edible glue and water does not hold dry fondant to dry fondant, or dry fondant to wet fondant. You need a stronger glue to hold them together. But if it's a wet fondant to a wet fondant, edible glue works fine and water works fine. Right, so I am using water in this I'm using edible glue in this instance to glue them together. Okay, so I'm trying to form kind of a pyramid shape, or triangle shape. I don't know, but just watch the video and see what I'm doing. So I'm done with that process. The next process is to place the wine guard on the cake. Right, because I had already doweled it, so I am going to place the wine guard on the cake. Remember, we used a separator. We covered this separator is dummy, so it's just the normal way of covering that we used to cover it. All right, so just watch how I did the rest of the decoration. This thing at the middle of this thing you are seeing here is a mold. I used a mold to get this should I say figure. I just used a mold to get that thing you are seeing right now. Okay, and then I used red beads to go round, okay, and then I'm also using royal icing to pipe some detailing on the cake. All right, so that is, it's not difficult. Once you look at the cake, you'll be able to replicate it. It's not difficult at all. I'm just piping tiny dots, 3 dots on the cake. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. Just piping three dots each on the cake. So from the look of things, we are almost done. Please, can you like this video? Can you subscribe? Can you share? Please, it will enable me to do more videos. Thank you. Right, so this is our beautiful cake. Do you love it? Tell me in the comment section. All right, thank you for watching. See you next time. Bye.
Pearldrops, cakes, oh so fine. Every bite is pure divine. Soft and sweet, made with care. Love and flavor everywhere. Pearl